Hello, everyone. Babula and I are back with you again to talk about the new moon in Pisces. And I'm just looking at that lovely painting at the back behind you. Did you do that one, Babula? Because it's very Piscean, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like just dripping with moisture, like
water,
like we have been in Australia here.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so it's been, even just being looking at all the images of the flooding in the city that we're in and now heading south, and being around the water and looking at the river every day to check how much it's going up and down, I felt very, nothing was solid. It's all moving and flowing and fast too. So it's like, just my head just can't sort of, there's no head space. And that's very Piscean, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So I couldn't, I was sort of just sitting here before we started recording. I was feeling very dreamy and sort of in that in-between state of being here and not really here. And again, I thought, new moon in Pisces is approaching. I'm probably caught that wave.
That's right. I know I'm almost like speechless to even, where do I begin?
Yeah. Well, it's obviously not a time to be strategizing or planning, because the things that you would normally grasp on mentally or emotionally, even physically, they're just not available at the moment with that energy.
That's right. Everything keeps moving. Pisces is what we call a mutable sign. There's 4 mutable signs in the zodiac, one of each element: earth, air, fire, and water. And Pisces is the mutable water. Well, mutability means movement. In the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, everything's moving. That's what they do. They move and they disperse and they distribute and they sort of gather and then move it out. Like everything's in movement. And they follow the fixed signs where everything is kind of anchored. We endeavor to anchor and build and make things solid and strong. And then the mutable signs come behind, and now we're dispersing. It's like seeds blowing in the wind kind of analogy. And so what does mutable water do? It has to move.
Yes. Yeah.
And, what you just said is so perfect and beautiful. That water it's on the move.
Yes. Yeah. And just watching it makes my mind, like where I might normally look at a scene and grab onto aspects of it.
Yes.
Focus on it. There's no focus. It's just watching it all go like this,
That's right. And it's moving through the river and over the land, but it's just pouring down from the heavens, isn't it? It was, as all of us who have just lived through it or are now, as it heads down into New South Wales, they're getting hammered, have experienced, just relentless heavy rain. I remember when it finally stopped, I woke up yesterday morning, everything was quiet.
Yes.
Oh my God, it stopped.
Yeah.
And then I peeked out my window and there's this little tiny gap of blue sky, and I went, oh my God. So then, as the day unfolded, that blue sky continued to grow. So yeah, it's been mega. And as I use the word mega, one's astrological mind instantly goes to the planet Jupiter.
True, very true.
You see, because, Jupiter, the king of the gods in mythology, Jupiter, Zeus, traditionally is the ruler of Sagittarius. And we know how Sagittarius loves to live life large. It's true, isn't it?
It is. I can vouch for that.
Exactly. It is. It's a big energy and it's a mutable sign. And Sages, they get bored, they're restless, they're on the move, they're traveling, they're learning, they're teaching, they're exploring all the time. Traditionally, Jupiter also rules Pisces. We have a modern ruler now, Neptune, which was discovered in 1846. But prior to that, and still, Jupiter is very powerful in Pisces. He's very at home there. And this planet, Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces, knows no bounds and limitations. Everything is larger than life, bigger than Ben-Hur, as we used to say growing up. And, it's the biggest planet in our solar system. and it's huge, relatively speaking, in our solar system anyway. And so when it's in Pisces, like, I love breaking astrology down to really simple language. It's
Me too.
Yes,
I can understand
Jupiter in Pisces equals a lot of water.
it.
Like, it's that fundamental. It's a lot of water.
Mm,
And it's in Pisces, you know, Jupiter's in a sign for 12 months.
wow.
It's doing this, it was in Pisces for part of last year and part of this year, and then it will move on into Aries. But so it just brings this huge increase of everything that Pisces represents. You see, and that's what Jupiter does when it moves through any sign. It's going to expand, exaggerate, increase, multiply, you know, everything that sign is about. And of course, a sign has many layers and levels to it. So,
Yeah.
you know, just really simple, a lot of water.
Yeah. And how long is Jupiter in Pisces for?
Well, it was in Pisces for some months last year.
Yes.
It will be in Pisces till, I forget exactly, around the end of April into early May, I think.
Yeah.
And then it will spend about 5 or 6 months in Aries. And then at the end of the year, it'll come back into Pisces for a couple of months.
Okay. So another wet Christmas.
Well, by Christmas, it'll have moved into Aries.
Oh, okay, right.
December, it goes into Aries. So it
Yes.
just could be really hot, like
Yeah.
Aries is fiery. So
Yeah. So
I doubt there'll be massive fires because, you know, the east coast of Australia is so sodden. We've had a wet summer.
yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching that because the meteorologist predicted the La Nina and a very wet summer.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it has been.
Yeah.
And so what, you know, when we talk about water, like, I'm going to be speaking at an astrology weekend on Mount Tamborine in late March, and I'm going to be talking on the 4 elements. And see, I love getting back to the basics of astrology and just really looking at them in a very real sort of way. So, so I've been thinking about that talk during all the downpours of water.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, you know, where's the sun? And so water represents actual water, of course, you know, water itself as an element, but it's also about fundamentally our feelings, you know, on a psychological human level. Water is our feelings. So what you were saying before about, you know, watching the river and all that huge, and what strikes us as we look at that much water on the move is how powerful it is.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not just a little trickle that's pleasant. It is powerful, and it will just take everything in its path.
And it has.
Yeah.
It has down the river. I mean, I sort of half expected to see animals. I know last time in the 2011 floods here in Australia, there were animals found swimming that had to be rescued out in Moreton.
That's right. That's right.
And unfortunately, I didn't see any this time, and I haven't heard any reports about any either. But
Yes.
it just comes on so swiftly too, water, that power of that water.
That's right. And, you know, you mentioned 2011. I remember that very well. Jupiter was in Pisces then too, 12 years ago, because it's a 12-year cycle.
Oh, okay.
Is that amazing?
Yes, it is. I'm just trying to think. We didn't have a flood at 12 years before 2011, though.
Well, what's interesting is that Jupiter's in Pisces. It doesn't mean that everywhere around the world is going to be flooded.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll talk about this because this is really interesting. Like, people will ask about this. Well, how come, you know, we're having a drought in another part of the planet when Jupiter's in Pisces? As I said, it can represent water itself and other qualities that water is a symbol of. So I had this wild inspiration yesterday, I think it was, to look up some asteroids, and I went curious. I went, is there an asteroid that's got anything to do with flooding and rains and a lot of water? So I've got a huge file, like over 8,000 asteroids in my computer. Lo and behold, there's an asteroid called Flood, and an asteroid called Rain. It's Rain as in a woman's name with an E on the end, but it absolutely serves its purpose. I checked them out for Brisbane, and because I have the charts of Brisbane and Queensland. During this flood, the asteroid flood and the asteroid rain are in an exact opposition to each other in Gemini and Sagittarius, mutable signs. That opposition hit the ascendant descendant of Brisbane's chart and the sun and moon of Queensland's chart. I mean, go figure.
Amazing.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And after all these years, I still have my mind blown.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
It's fantastic. Mind-boggling, as you commented, you know, my mind is definitely officially boggled.
Yes.
And so that's where it can apply to certain localities at a certain time. You could also look at the astrocartography, which I didn't do. My astrocartography program's gone a bit wonky. But, you know, there are other ways where you can locate something like that, like something astrological that's impacting the whole world. But why is this particular event happening here right now?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, I read that on your Facebook post, and I thought, how fascinating is that?
Unbelievable. And that's right. And it was also quite active back in the Brisbane floods of 2011 as well, with Jupiter in Pisces. So it's a number of factors all coming together. You know, and kind of setting up that situation.
Yeah. And, you know, you were talking about Pisces and the water and representing our emotions. I was sitting here yesterday and I was actually in the middle of all the rain, because when it got to the point where everyone here is thinking, is it ever going to stop? Because it was quite heavy and it was consistent. Yes. And you just didn't know what you're going to wake up to the next day. But I was thinking, you know, Australia itself has had this run now of challenges, and it started in 2019. And I'm talking about environmental challenges. 2019 with the bushfires, right? And I remember sitting here, watching the map, looking where the bushfires were located around my city, our city. And then soon after that, we had the pandemic, and people had the fear of the virus because no one really knew what that was about. And then we had the physical restrictions to our environment. And now we've had the rain. And in the world, of course, in the background of all this, now we've got the Ukraine-Russia situation. And I'm thinking, how much are people supposed to take?
A lot, it would seem. That's right.
Yeah, and my emotions, I was just sitting there and I just started to think, it wasn't that I was overwhelmed that I became dysfunctional, but I was overwhelmed that I'm going, wow, like it's just like the sigh, the big heavy sigh.
Yes.
Wow, you know, and this new moon in Pisces has been a part of that with all this rain.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just breathe, people, breathe.
And it makes you feel like, well, what next?
Yes.
You know, like, what next? Because it's, you know, this is such a massive time for humanity. If we, you know, scan right back and look at bigger time scales. And this is like just so massive. Everything is changing.
I'm just waiting for the asteroid to hit or the aliens to land. I mean,
that's right. Like what
sort of thing that I sort of expect. And I wouldn't be surprised with this Age of Aquarius that we're moving into. Something's got to happen from the sky, you know, from the atmosphere.
Yes, I'm from the sky. That's right.
You know, had the water. Now there's a possibility of, you know, missiles. Let it come from the air, like, you know, just everything.
I know, like some massive thing, that's right, to really push us forward and through this birth canal, because boy, it's a tough birth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. And I just keep thinking that it's so huge, how do people cope? But, you know, we are a resilient bunch. That's so resilient.
And that's what I feel like you've really hit the nail on the head for me. Like, we all go through those moments of, God, how much more can we take? And then afterwards I reflect and I go, it's amazing what we can take. And what it, you know, that whole idea of crisis and great difficulty can, for many, bring out qualities that we didn't even know we had. Like, wow, I never thought I could do that.
Yes.
You know, and I think I feel like we're going through a massive collective initiation. Initiations are never easy. A death and a birth. And so everything's being stripped away, and we're being kind of forced actually to discover more of who we really are. And it's not an easy process.
Yeah. And it's a post-traumatic growth.
Yes.
No, that's what it is.
Yes.
Rather than post-traumatic stress, it's growth from that stress.
Yeah.
And it's that the hothousing of humanity put us under this stress all the time. I mean, I'm expecting after, I don't know when, but sometime in the future, we're going to have this huge flourishing and renaissance of social renaissance and so many other types of things. You know, everything's going to change but flourish.
Yes, because the collective unconscious, which is pretty dark on this planet and has been for a long time, for it to be fully rooted out, it's no small thing. And for us to create a completely different world paradigm in the years, decades, centuries to come, it's a massive thing for that to be fully dismantled and rooted out and cleared out. You know, it's huge. Just like whenever we have a health crisis or a healing crisis in our own body, you know, it's yeah. So Pisces.
Yes, let's get back to that. Because we could talk about the times we live in forever, couldn't we?
I know we could spend the rest of the day here just chatting. All we need is cups of teas and snacks, and we'll be fine. So, so let's do that. So this new moon, which in Brisbane time is on the 3rd of March, the precise time is 3:34 in the morning. And so that means that now in the, 2 days leading up to it, we're in the new moon. So we're in the last couple of days of the previous or the current cycle, which was an Aquarian cycle. So now we're coming into the new lunar cycle of Pisces. And so it's at 12 degrees of Pisces, Sun conjunct Moon. And we've just spoken quite a lot about Jupiter. This new moon is conjunct Jupiter at 14. It's a close conjunction. So if we could see the sun, and we can't see the moon because it's right on the sun, next to the sun, and so is Jupiter. If we could see them, you would see the sun, the moon, and Jupiter all in perfect alignment with each other. So Jupiter, the king of the gods, who represents higher truth, knowledge, freedom. Remember, he's a ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces. Spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowledge, spiritual teachings, ideals, ideas, very much at home in Pisces, is very impactful on this lunar cycle that's coming in on the 3rd of March. It's the major, yes, it's a Pisces new moon, which happens every year. They don't usually happen with Jupiter as well, right there. So, I've been following an independent meteorologist who's quite wonderful in his posts. I only discovered him a few days ago because people shared him online, and he's giving detailed analysis of systems, and he's watching everything closely, and it would seem that there may be more, more coming, as in so on. So, but on the other level, spiritually, this can be for some, for many, for humanity collectively, an energy of tremendous spiritual, like a boost.
Yes.
A real upliftment. As I said that, I could feel my body, I could feel the wings. It's almost like great wings lifting us up.
Yeah.
Elevating our consciousness. And Pisces as a water sign and the last sign of the zodiac is ultimately about surrender and compassion, oneness, connection with the divine, prayer, whatever is our own relationship with the mystery, with source, with spirit, with God, with goddess, with those things that are hard to speak about because you can't define any of that.
Yeah, all in the 12th house.
That's right, which is Pisces. You can't
Yeah.
define it.
Yes.
And but it's a water sign, so it's felt, it's intuited, it's sensed, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about this lunar cycle is we're learning more and more and more to trust our instincts and intuition. Like, why all of it? For example, who was it? Someone recently said she jumped in the car to go and, a friend of mine, to go and get everything out of her shop, which was in Lismore. Live in Lismore, to get everything out. She made it out just in time. The roads closed behind her. She got back home with all the stuff in the car.
Wow.
Shop's now under, but she rest. It's that kind of thing, like that intuitive.
Yep.
When we're in tune, that's the oneness of Pisces. When we're absolutely in tune and in the flow, and might even say a little prayer on the way, just help me. It's that really that moment of just help me, call in the help. And it happens.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen through this flooding too, is that to me it seems like there's no talk of divisiveness in the social media now. It's all about helping people and people's offering. I've got a room or 2 or 3 bedrooms available in my house. Anyone whose house has gone under in the flood,
that's right.
Contact me. People, centres opening up for refuge.
Yeah.
And food being delivered and all those sorts of things, helping each other. Just even little things like I've got a friend who's without power, not far away, because there's so many houses without electricity at the moment. She'll be coming over here to plug in all her devices and have a hot shower. And
that's right.
Same with my kids, with their friends across the road who've got no power, coming
that's
here.
Right.
Yeah, just opening up and letting people come in and use whatever you need,
That's right, because there but for the grace of God.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and you're exactly right. So when those kinds of events, which you can't really point the finger and blame at anybody, or our ideas or opinions don't really matter. The fact is, it's happened, and people need help. It's that simple, isn't it? And that's what Pisces is really about. It's that sense of compassion that. And it's a felt thing, it's beyond the rational mind. It's felt, oh my God, that could have been me, or even if it wasn't me, they need help, and we respond.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's an amazing time during this cycle to really draw on whatever is any kind of spiritual practice that we know works for us. And that does not have to be a spiritual practice in any formalized. It might be for some. For others, it can be, like for me, if I can retreat into a room by myself and put on some beautiful music and just let my body move, or do some yoga, or just sit and let the music, go through me, it just restores me so much. And then instantly I feel connected, so, or it might be to go out in nature or whatever it is. It's like, or it might be meditation for somebody, or painting for somebody, to really use those things like big time now.
Spiritual is a word that's really hard to define for some people, for a lot of people, for most of us.
Yes.
And therefore spirituality. But I think spiritual or spirituality is our responsiveness to spirit, just like you said. What moves us? Moves us that is beyond this.
That's right.
That we just feel and we know with deep wisdom, yes, I have to go and do this. I have to help that person. It's right. That responsiveness. Yeah.
That's right. And that's the incredible wisdom of Jupiter when it's in Pisces. When Jupiter is in Sagittarius, its other sign of rulership, it's more about the higher mind and higher knowledge and truth and spirituality, religion, philosophies, ideas, and the search for truth and meaning. In Pisces, the wisdom of Jupiter is that it's that completely expanded sense of we're just responding in the moment, intuitively, compassionately to whatever's arising right now, with no logical thinking or planning. You just respond. Yeah. And in that tremendous expansion happens. I mean, this is probably the most expansive new moon we'll see in a long time, you know, because Pisces is boundless. It's oneness, it's everything.
Yes,
That's what it represents, the vastness of the ocean. And Jupiter is, you know, it's the key word for Jupiter. The single most important word is expansion. So
so is it an oceanic consciousness?
yes,
That sort of thing?
yes, very much. And you know, so, you know, the seas will be huge, you know, where these floods are happening, where these rain systems are happening, the seas are up, the ocean. You can almost imagine Poseidon, Neptune, you know, riding the waves, and also, of course, sending it down. You mentioned Aquarius before, and that's interesting because we know Aquarius is an air sign, but, you know, she is pouring out the waters.
Yes. Yeah.
The waters of love, of compassion, of higher knowledge, which is Aquarius, you know, to humanity. Well, it feels like it's pouring out the waters from the heavens.
I have to say that's very confusing for some people, with Aquarius being an air sign but pouring out the waters from the heavens. It's like, what is it, an air sign, a water sign? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It does seem confusing. Yeah. And of course, before I move away from that Pisces theme, what another major thing, like this is a huge year again.
Year isn't. I'm starting to think that the age of Aquarius every year is going to be huge. I mean, anyway.
I think so. I well, definitely. What I would say is this decade, every year, there are major astrological events and shifts happening. Like this is a huge decade, the 2020s. Just reminded me, you know, back last century, it was called the Roaring 20s.
That's right.
I think they're roaring once again.
Yes.
I only just saw that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely roaring, isn't it?
Yeah, roaring to life, roaring us to life, I think, because I think a long time humanity's been, well, we've been lulled to sleep out of intellectual laziness, but we've been lulled to sleep out of external forces trying to achieve that too.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like humanity's been hypnotized, which is a Pisces thing as well. It's this hypnotic dream. It's like we've collectively been drugged, because Pisces rules drugs, hypnosis, those hallucinogenic states and so on. Now we can have those experiences spiritually without any addition of and input of substances and so on. But, you know, the TV is a hypnotic trance device. You know, I came across this idea in 2020, I think, you know, isn't it interesting that they call TV shows programs? You know, we're being programmed, you know, so the education system and everything. But
one more thing. Pisces, before we meet Pisces,
I want to say more about Pisces, but you say what you want to say.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say one of the key words too is sacrificial. And if you think the age of Pisces, with the story of Jesus, emerged out of that age, that whole time it was, you know, the churches used that to, you know, and manipulated people through that story too, in their own way.
Exactly. And sacrifice is a very interesting thing. You know, Pisces is two fish. So there's the two sides of it all. And the word sacrifice is a really interesting one. You know, it can be a very negative thing, you know, a tool of control, like you just said. But there is also such a thing in the spiritual planes of actual sacrifice. And even we humans, you know, we're often called in different situations to sacrifice something that we really wanted or we want to do, but there's a more important need right here. So I'm going to sacrifice that because this is what I need to do, or this is where I need to be. And we might grieve what we've had to sacrifice. But, you know, I think in Pisces, there is often a sense of sacrifice and loss, tremendous loss. Like people right now in these floods, devastating. My daughter has two friends who, both single mums, whose houses are completely under and they've lost everything. that's, you know, that's just heartbreaking and shattering, and they'll still be coming to terms with that, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but, you know, all their friends are rallying, you know, and they
Yeah.
you know, they've set up an account and let's help, you know. So that's what happens, that response. But Jupiter is going to keep moving through Pisces, moving fairly quickly now. And in April, which we'll be talking more about, it's going to meet with Neptune. I know, like you go, what? I know. So Jupiter rules Pisces.
Yeah.
Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces.
Oh,
They're going to meet in Pisces. Now they will meet, I haven't checked the exact timing, could be something like every 12 or 13 years in a particular sign, but they're not going to do that very often in their own sign. So that they are just so powerful. And so that conjunction has already started to sort of come together. So from now through April, we're in this, and so again, it's like water, massive. Like, we're just dumbfounded how much water fell in a few short days.
couldn't believe it. Record falls, not record or record height in Lismore and other ones probably.
That's right.
But record falls, how much just dumped down?
And the system was stable. It didn't move. It just sat. I kept watching the radar. And so again, water, it's literal. My guess is there'll be other major water events around the planet. Yeah, over the next couple of months. We're having ours now. Let's see how long it goes for, because there may be more.
I guess you could look up the chart for this city that we're in and see what's going on there. Yeah.
Yes. So, you know, there would be certain localities that might be really susceptible to that kind of an event. And, you know, there could be tidal waves somewhere. I mean, all sorts of things can happen. There might be water issues in other ways.
Yeah.
But spiritually, this can truly be an extraordinary time, a truly extraordinary time. And I think we're seeing it showing up in different ways around the world, you know, as these huge collectives of people come together in process. And it's big. It's a big movement. People are moved. Their heart, their feeling, their intuition is calling them, and they're going, it doesn't make any sense. It's really not what I should be doing right now, but I have to go. I have, you know, you're hearing that all the time. I have to be there. And they're just pulled. And it's like a tidal wave of humanity on the move.
Yeah.
And many are saying that, you know, this is a spiritual battle that's going on. And you know, in this Pisces energy, which is so heightened now, it's so big. But that can also bring tremendous increase to people's sense of grief and loss. You used the word overwhelm before. That is such a Pisces word. It's very common for those of us who have Pisces energy to go through periods that we just feel completely overwhelmed, like emotionally, psychically, energetically, because it's such an open, porous sign. You know, years ago, when I was very young, very first psychic I went to, and as a Pisces, this kind of makes sense. I literally walked in the door, and before I even sat down, I'd never had anything like this before. I think I was in my 20s. Before I even sat down, she looked up at me and she said, "Your aura is full of holes." And I went, "What?" What are you talking about? What does that mean? And I sat down, and then she explained more. And I was very young and naive, and it was hard for me to take, but I kind of got the gist, you know. And you know, she said, you need to learn how to take care of yourself and protect your energy and so on. But that's a very Piscean kind of thing. So it's both a wonderful thing to open to the cosmos and spiritual dimensions and energies and so on. But on a personal level, it can also be very challenging because you feel everything.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. And I think that's what I was trying to get at before, is when I was feeling overwhelmed, I was actually feeling energetically overwhelmed.
Right.
It was the energy of everything that we've been through. It's like this collective whirlpool that's a whirlpool. It's even a water word, you know, a
Yeah.
whirlpool of these energies drawing in together, become like a vortex. You know, when you stir the water in a bucket, it gets that vortex.
Yes.
Just like that, you know, yeah, it's like, wow, how much more are we supposed to take, you know?
That's right.
Mm.
That's right. Well, I'd say more.
Yeah,
I'd say
yes.
more.
Yeah.
That's right. And so can we allow ourselves to keep expanding energetically, but at the same time taking care of our human self,
Mm,
you know, the body, our psyche? But yeah, so I don't think there's any formula or recipe for that. I think everyone has to find their own way, you know, through that. But we also do it together collectively.
yeah, yes.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
I'm thinking too, while you're saying that, about, you know, what we're going through are massive expansions of consciousness.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, that's what Aquarius is about too, isn't it? It's about this consciousness and awakening. And these events that are happening on the planet are like expanding our energetic template so we can hold it
Exactly.
and be in that space. Otherwise, it's like trying to put a land animal into the ocean and just going to drown. But we've got to actually expand ourselves to be on the same wavelength of the new consciousness.
That's right.
So that we can hold it and tap into it.
That's right. And that's exactly right. And I think, you know, it's about us recognizing and realizing experientially that we are all of that we are actually these great vast beings. We're not these little limited persons, you know, we're in this human body having this human life, but we are so vast. And that's what's going on now. You know, we are being stretched, we are being expanded, and some of that, you know, it's like being on the cosmic rack. You know, some of it's painful, and we
like that.
Want to break.
I'm going to use that cosmic rack.
It only just occurred to me.
It's so true.
We are being stretched and stretched and stretched.
Well, you know, we're also, and because Aquarius rules things from the you know, outer space.
Yeah.
For those people, anyone out there, I don't know if you're listening, but I'm in the UFO research community, and you know, people are being stretched because this has now become a reality with the information that's been received, you know, put out by the Pentagon, and then now an official UFO office has been established in the department. I mean, this is coming to terms with this being a reality, which people like me, been in this for 30 odd years, you know, oh yeah, yawn. But, you know, for the public, the general public, they've got to stretch themselves now.
That's right.
To be able to go to incorporate that knowledge. And I think that's what we're talking about.
That's right. That's right. And this is like on every level, you know, in every area of life. It's because the other thing that Pisces and Neptune are about is delusions. You know, deception, lies, delusions, fantasy, you know, where, you know, hypnosis, that kind of thing. So it's painful. We've all been through it in different ways. When some idea we've had about a situation or a person or the government or whatever it is, suddenly the veils of delusion and illusion fall away and we see more clearly and we go, oh my God. And it's a very painful moment, you know, and it can be, we can be in grief, you know, deep grief about, oh my God, I've completely deluded myself about this person, situation, whatever. I was in a fantasy. But it's a necessary process, and we have to go through the grieving of the loss, you know, of those delusions, so that we open up and then we can expand more again.
Yes. And I know a couple of people who've gone through that recently. It's like, why did I listen? That sort of moment. And then because they've had this realization that what they were told actually isn't real.
That's right. It's not real.
Why did I listen? And now they're thinking, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. You know, that sort of thing.
That's right. And why didn't I listen to my intuition? You know, That's right. Why didn't I listen to this inside? Because something in me knew, something in me felt something wasn't right here.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we've all been through,
Yes.
being there in different. I look back and I go, yep, I recognize that. I went in on a fantasy, on a deluded idea, or some part of us had a longing to be connected to something or someone, or was part of our personal dream. And then when it all falls away, it's quite shattering and painful. But
And
so necessary and so good.
I think that's where it comes back to the compassion then, where people go, oh, I don't know why I did that. You go, that's okay. You're human.
That's right.
We're human. We're all human. We've all done things like that,
Sometimes we're just bumbling around in the dark, trying to find our way. Yeah.
We have to apply that compassion to ourselves first, I think.
That's right. So it's a big time. I mean, of course, let's look at some other energies too. We've focused a lot on this Pisces theme because it is so big right now and it's so relevant for this year. I mean, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is probably the main astrological event that's happening in 2022. Last year we had the Saturn-Uranus squares. Prior to that, it was the big event in Capricorn, from which, we shall never return to life prior to that. Yeah. But this year, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces is really amazing. And of course, the nodes in Taurus, Scorpio. Okay, so let's move to a different energy that's playing out. Actually, right on the new moon, there's a couple. There is on the new moon, and for those couple of days, a conjunction of Venus, Mars, and Pluto at 27 degrees of Capricorn.
Oh, that's interesting.
It certainly is. I mean, Venus.
Yeah.
Venus-Mars conjunctions, we talked a bit about that last session.
Yeah.
My brain just went into a Pisces drift. It just drifts off somewhere.
This may be a 2-hour show to start.
So they're in this dance now over this period of weeks, and they're actually forming this conjunction at 27 degrees. That's extraordinary because, Venus is the light of the goddess of the heart, the love principle, relationships, the feminine, our urge to connect, to relate, to, express through the heart. Mars, masculine warrior energy, action, decisive, let's just do it. Pluto, the lord of the underworld. So it's like like Liz Green wrote a book years ago. She called it The Lovers of the Zodiac, and it was all about Venus and Mars, relationship planets. They are now together. It's like man, woman, symbolically, down in the underworld, having a profound meeting with Lord Pluto. Profound initiation. And so we're all in that. We are all going through this deep processing around masculine, feminine energies, relationships, our values, our principles, what we love, what's important, what kind of action we take related to that. And it's very intense. It's very powerful, very transformative. And that's going on this new moon as well. And I keep seeing online stories and images, and I go, there's the Venus-Mars conjunction. There was one this morning that I posted about, beautiful short video of this group of Fijian men, warrior men, big, strong bodies, evacuating all of these elderly people from the Lismore Hospital in the middle of just torrential rain and waters up to here. And I just thought, there it is. Here's these strong men, Mars, responding to the call of their heart, literally carrying these old people in the pouring rain to safety, and their animals, their pets. So that's the kind of thing. It's the masculine responding to the feminine call of the heart to take action from a place of love. And in Capricorn, it's real action, real service, pragmatic, roll up your sleeves, get dirty, get on with it. Just get the job done.
Yeah. And ladies, this is what we want our men to be doing.
Exactly.
This is what as we evolve, women and men have a role And evolved women want to see men standing up and being men.
Exactly.
Evolved men want to see women leading from the feminine side.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's not in that old program, you know, woman in the kitchen barefoot. It's not that. It's see, it's being transformed. You know, we're going deeper into what's really going on here. So I'm so moved by those images, you know, and you know, the masculine and feminine live inside all of us, of course. So that's our own inner masculine and feminine as well. It takes action, but it's motivated and moved from the heart, from love. You know, love is moving me to do this, and in Capricorn, it's very real and it's very concrete. So that's really it's also a very, and I'm experiencing this, a powerful time to go, right, no more messing around. Even though we're in Pisces, this Capricorn, 3 planets together in Capricorn, right, time to get organized.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's stop messing around. We need to take care of this, take care of this, take care of this. Around new moons, what do? We plant new seeds. And I think this coming together in Capricorn is helping us to sort of, some people are having to take strong practical action because their houses have just been destroyed.
Yeah.
Or others who've been lucky enough not to have that happen, they might be making important decisions in other ways, you know.
So how do we bring those two together with the, you know, this new moon in Pisces, which really isn't about headspace?
Yeah.
There's got this practical aspect to it. I mean, how do any suggestions for people to reconcile that within themselves?
Well, what I, as you were saying that, what I was seeing was like Pisces is compassion and soul and spirit. And Capricorn is very earthy and pragmatic, you know. So it's interesting. I just could see like that story of those men, those Fijian men, they're in the pouring rain in the middle of flood, like massive, like Lismore's just never seen anything like it. And they flood a lot. So the deluge, the Pisces deluge, you know, from compassion, they're out there doing the hard work. You know, they were probably absolutely exhausted by the end of it, but, you know, they did it. Because remember, water and earth are what we call sextile to each other. They are both yin feminine elements, water and earth, and they have a kind of innate harmony with each other. And many Capricorns who are spiritually, I'll use the word evolved, you know, older souls who are Capricorn, I know many Capricorns who are very spiritually focused, you know, and they're very oriented spiritually. And so their orientation is towards service, you know, pragmatic, practical, real service in very real, concrete terms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does that sort of?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking maybe, you know, do what you need to do, but allow, instead, don't be so much in your head, but allow things to move you and follow your intuition as well. Allow spirit to move you and follow your intuition.
Exactly.
Yeah. So be practical, but get out of this and more into this. And yeah.
Exactly. It's exactly. It's spirit moves you, and you become like a vehicle for what's moving through you to take this action in very real, pragmatic, hands-on way.
Yeah. And my personal experience is when I've done that, I actually become a bit of a powerhouse more than usual, because spirit is just pushing me to do this.
Yes.
It's not a job. It's just doing it at that passionate, loving place.
Yes. And you know, in Capricorn, you just get on with it and do what has to be done. You know, one foot in front of the other. Yeah, like the Pisces go, yeah, I'd rather just lie on the couch and watch a movie. Yeah, no, there's work to be done, you know, things need attending to. So yeah, now there's also, and of course, this conjunction of Venus and Mars is going to continue all the way through to, what is it, the 6th of March. And I just can't help, I keep smiling. I have this image of them hand in hand now, like they're walking hand in hand. And so they're down in the underworld, with Pluto Hades in Capricorn, right down there. And then they begin to, as they move away from Pluto in these coming days, slowly, together, united, hand in hand. I'm a romantic at heart. Hand in hand, they step out of the tunnel, the underground, into the light of day at 0 degrees. So there's a final conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius on the 6th of March. And I just find that absolutely extraordinary. And so yeah, it's a very important conjunction that's going on with Venus and Mars right now, and it will be impacting everyone's relationships.
Well, I was going to say, there's like you come out of the cave, Plato's cave, right? Where you see things differently once you're out of the cave, and you perhaps see each other if you're in a relationship. But it can be relationships with friends too. You see each other in a different light.
That's right.
Maybe appreciate each other more.
That's right. And as you say that, I think, one of the things is they do this coming together in Capricorn. Capricorns have got a lot to do with commitment too, dedication, commitment. Like when a Capricorn makes a commitment, I'll tell you what, it would probably take a volcano to prevent them from fulfilling that commitment. There'd have to be a really good reason why they couldn't be there, even if they're not well, or there's all kinds of challenges they have to get through to get there. Or at the very least, they'll let you know and say, look, it's completely unavoidable. There's nothing I can do. I can't make it.
Yeah.
Tremendous sense of commitment. And I think, so some people in relationship might be finding that their relationship is going to a deeper level of commitment, which is another kind of initiation.
It is, yeah. And I'm seeing coming out of that 0 degrees Aquarius, it's like looking across the Aquarius valley in front and going, it's no longer me, it's we.
That's right.
That's
together, and we move forward, into this new. So yeah, it's an extraordinary time. So,
and you're right, you are a romantic. But that's
to me, the word romantic isn't just relationships. No. I see romance in life everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I see a beautiful butterfly or something. I just go, oh, and and to me, that's like the romantic poets. What they wrote about nature all the time.
Yes.
It's a certain way of perceiving and experiencing things. I'm not just talking about, like a Hollywood romance movie, although, I can go there too, but,
I've got a friend who's, she takes in a lot of detail. She's got a Virgo ascendant, I think, but, she's a bit like that too. She goes, she looks around and sees the beauty of things, every single little thing. And there was this caterpillar on the path, which she tripped over and broke a leg. So yeah, very interesting.
Well, I see it in my Pisces granddaughter all the time too. Just oh, look at this. She'll spend, like 20 minutes in talking to this little bug she's seen in the garden. Just
watch where you're walking while you do it. That's all.
That's right. Oh my goodness. All right. So so just quickly, I'll run through, the rest of what's kind of coming up, but we've kind of covered so much of it. So 3rd of March, the new moon. Oh, on the new moon, of course, and around those days, there's also a conjunction of Saturn and Mercury in Aquarius. So it's a powerful new moon. We've got the Jupiter on the new moon, Mercury's conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, Venus, Mars, and Pluto are all conjunct in Capricorn.
Wow.
So, and those last 3 signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, are the last 3 signs of the zodiac, and they actually represent, in many ways, the collective field, the big picture. We experience them personally, but they're also very much about the collective. So there's a lot going on in the world, just everywhere. And the media likes to direct where our attention goes, but if we ignore that and keep our eyes open on the bigger whole story, we'll see a whole lot more. Like they literally do direct where people now I want you to focus here, now I want you to look over there. So let's turn that off, shall we? and look elsewhere.
Yeah.
So Okay, so 6th of March, the sun will be conjunct Jupiter at almost 15 of Pisces. And the 6th of March is also when Venus and Mars are at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So I would really suggest that if we're interested in these things, I'll be paying attention to the energy of that day as Venus and Mars both together come out of Capricorn after their meeting with Pluto and go into Aquarius, a sign of light, expansion, consciousness, you know, the collective, the sky.
Yeah.
10th of March, Venus goes into Pisces. Mercury goes into Pisces. So our mind might become a little bit befuddled a couple of weeks. And I have Mercury there, so that's just normal for me, you know, but the mind can go into this very sort of expansive, highly intuitive. It can be incredible for intuition. And I would recommend people, you know, during this Pisces period, I know that's not going to be possible for some people who just lost everything in a flood or whatever else is going on. But if we can, you know, surrender is a big key word here. You know, even in those kind of tragic, devastating circumstances, if some part of us can just let go and go, okay, this has happened. Here I am.
Yes.
Just, you know, and if we do that, it's amazing how life comes in and guides and shows us where we need to move and how we need to move next. And I'm not in any way diminishing people's trauma in the situation like that. But on a spiritual level, it is to just like naked and empty-handed, just go, I have nothing. Here I am. Show me. And things happen. Magic happens. That's
They
just do.
We surrender our personal will.
Exactly.
To the higher will. It moves us in miraculous ways.
Really, miraculous, really miraculous and magical. It's incredible. And then on the 13th of March, the sun will be conjunct Neptune. So there's a lot of this Neptune Pisces energy, very much so. Surrender, rest, not pushing, allowing. Yes, there's a lot of water. There's very likely going to be more. Hopefully not, but there could well be. And then we come into the full moon on the 18th of March when the sun is still in Pisces and the moon will be in Virgo on the opposite side.
Yeah.
And that then, it's like this build up now to the 21st of March, the equinox, which will be our autumn equinox and the spring equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. And that's a really potent time. Those solstice equinox points are very, very important. And of course, 0 degrees of Aries, every year when the sun is at 0 degrees of Aries, it's the vernal point, the Aries point. For astrologers, that's New Year. You know, that's when the year begins. So Pisces is the last time when we're releasing, surrendering, letting go, allowing, you know, just relinquishing. And then something new begins to come through into Aries. So, it's big.
Yeah, big stuff. I'm still thinking about your comment about something big, you know, like each year in this decade is like major stuff. So I'm going to go and look that up.
Yes, well, you know, there's all these slow moving outer planets one by one in the next few years in this decade are going to be changing sign, and it's very unusual for many of them to be doing that in such a close time frame. You know, Neptune will leave Pisces, Uranus will leave Taurus, Pluto will leave Capricorn. Of course, Saturn and Jupiter move quickly. They change signs more frequently. But those three big outer guys, and I'm pretty sure Chiron, I think Chiron leaves Aries by the end of this decade as well. These are very slow moving planets, and they're all going to change sign within a few years of each other. They are monumental shifts. Monumental. So it's a huge, I'm glad I thought of or it dropped in the roaring 20s, because we are back.
So we could be doing this for, we've been doing it for 2 years, another 8 years at least.
I think so, Cheryl. I think this. I think so.
Oh gosh. Oh
There's
man.
going to be a lot to talk about every
Yeah,
single time,
yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, just the birthing process, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So
I
we're
feel
doing
like
we're doing a bit of astrological midwifery here.
yeah, I was going to say the astrological doulas,
That's right.
birth doulas.
That's right.
Oh dear. Oh, that's amazing though. And but I so enjoyed it because I like to know. I think like everyone, we want to know what's coming.
Yeah,
You know, if I think that if we know what's coming, we can endure it better.
we do. And if we have some kind of frame of reference and, that ability to step back and look at it from another perspective and that sense of, we are connected to everything, the cosmos, the universe, planets move, things happen, we are that, they are us, it's all that, ultimately that sense of oneness, and it just gives us insight and information and
Yeah.
confirmation and very often support and guidance too.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not just our story, it's the story of our solar system, really.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cosmic story. What did you say? The cosmic something. I did write it down. I'm thinking.
Astrological midwives.
Oh no, before that, I wrote it down.
God, you want me to remember what I said before?
No. This is why we record it.
That's right. I'll have to go back.
I did write it down somewhere. I'll have to have a look. But yeah.
Cosmic something.
Yes, but yeah, big story. Once again, thank you so much for your knowledge and wisdom and insights and heads up, basically.
Yeah, heads up. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And make sure something doesn't drop in your eyes when you look.
Yes, yes.
So everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you enjoyed it, please like it, share it. We'd love that, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Remember to tap the bell so you get every notification when these episodes are loaded. So thank you once again, Babula. Been a pleasure as always.
For me too.
Yeah, and we'll catch you all again in another 2 weeks.
Bye everyone.
Bye.